realizing how much we have depended on a certain amount of autopilot to the hidden and not so hidden dis-ease that subtly gnaws from within that needs healing. One thing I have noticed in my own practice is the paradox of my practice. On one hand, I am trying to cultivate awareness, insight, wisdom, and compassion. And at the same time, I cultivate willful ignorance. I have braved the darkness before and found light there. At the same time, a part of me, the part of me that needs the most healing, that needs to be set free, still believes there are monsters lurking in the night. And so he hides in the habitual rhythms of an ordinary life, as it was a kind of day. But now what? Without the same rhythm, that same scripted, automatic sort of day, riding up the elevator at work, the usual mindless repartee. Can you believe it's only Wednesday? This has been a long week. Little did we know. Or getting angry at Starbucks because they were out of the low-fat turkey bacon sandwich. Or being angry because somebody cut us off. Now we get to experience the toilet paper apocalypse. And as if that is something to really hurt about. So now where are we? We are just about out of some of our coping behaviors. They're going to start wearing thin. How much Netflix can you really watch? What can you do when you have cleaned everything twice and organized in your pantry by alphabet and color? The other challenge is that habitual energies, old coping behaviors come out with a vengeance. Those long forgotten or the hidden dark sides of ourselves call out with persuasive arguments. Those in recovery know this too well. It is important to know when this happens, it is neither good nor bad. It's just what happens. Times like this reveal all those things that we have left unattended. I will be honest, sitting down doing meditation has not been my first thought. The very thing that grounds us in ever constant becoming of all of life, the endless change that is at the heart of being alive, we fight against. The flow of change that is out of our control, and we suffer because of it. When we endlessly conjecture, it can only lead to more suffering. As Gyome Kabose Sensei teaches, acceptance is transcendence. Acceptance is our freedom. So what are we to do with today, with right now? I think the first thing we can do is to become mindful of our stories about what is going on. I want to share one of my favorite Chinese Zen stories. It's called Good Luck, Bad Luck. Many of you may already know it. There is a Chinese story of a farmer who used an old horse to till his fields. One day, the horse escaped into the hills, and when the farmer's neighbor sympathized with the old man over his bad luck, the farmer replied, "Bad luck? Good luck? Who knows?" A week later, the horse returned with a herd of horses from the hills, and this time the neighbors congratulated the farmer on his good luck. His reply was, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows?" Then when the farmer's son was attempting to tame one of the wild horses, he fell off its back and broke his leg. Everyone thought this was very bad luck. Not the farmer, whose only reaction was, "Bad luck? Good luck? Who knows?" Some weeks later, the army marched into the village and conscripted every able-bodied youth they found there. When they saw the farmer's son with his broken leg, they left him off. Now, was that good luck or bad luck? Who knows? Everything that seems on the surface to be an evil may be good in disguise, and everything that seems good on the surface may really be an evil. So we are wise when we leave it to God to decide what is good fortune and what is misfortune, and thank him that all things turn out for good and for those who love one another. Now, for those who have lost jobs and are worried about rent coming up in April, I am not diminishing the reality of what is going on. If you are in this situation, reach out to us and we can direct you to some resources that are available in the community that may help. What I do appreciate about this story is it teaches us how our narratives about what we are going through can add undue suffering. I know I suffer from the same tendency. We have the human tendency to label, to tell stories about events in our attempt to understand and control our environment. As I have taught before, we are homo narratus. We are because we story. And storing in and of itself is not bad and it is not good. It's just what we do, those who are burdened by language. It's not the story that is problematic, but the knowing implied in the story. I appreciate the story because it touches on the theme that we've been discussing and practicing, and that's the cultivating of the not knowing mind. We spend so much time in our fictive knowing. As we say every Sunday, we cultivate letting go of the need to know. We live much of our lives knowing what others think or what they do and why they do what they do, while all the long barely even having an idea of who we really are. This is even more in times of crisis. Trying to stay above the anxiety, we think we can know our way through this experience. Too much time reading the news, Twitter, and the like does not give us more knowledge, but it gives us more fuel to create worst-case scenarios. There have already been horrible false narratives on social media that give birth to a different type of contagion, the contagion of fear and disconnection. And fear steals our present moment. So what can we do about anything right now? Very little. We can do social caring, as Tom Teague has renamed social distancing. We can reach toward one another when we need help, physical, emotional, or spiritual. We practice. I have some moments with my boys, my wife, that would not have been possible if life was like it was before, or if I was caught up with my fears about tomorrow. Don't get me wrong, I have them. I have just learned that if something bad is going to happen, I will let it happen when it happens, instead of projecting it 1,000 times into the present moment. I can only attend to today. And if I attend to today, no matter what happens, I will be in a better place to engage with whatever happens. For me, this is the meaning of equanimity. Even though what is happening is not okay, I will be okay. We will be okay. It's what I call radical okayness. So much of what we've been learning in our Sangha over the past 2 years has been preparing us for the things we need to learn now from this new teacher in our lives. We have been learning and practicing every Sunday in our community the embrace of Namu Amida Butsu, or come as you are. The invitation of Buddha to come as you are, and the invitation we give to all of our lives, to the events and people that come into it. Bowing, we say, come as you are, and we attend to each and all. This is the spirit of Namu Amida Butsu, the beating heart of Amida Buddha. All and every is welcome and attended to. And I love this poem. Many of you have already read it, and I appreciate it because for me, It expresses the everyday spirit of Namu Amida Butsu, of the Pure Land being here and now. And this was written by Kitty O'Mara. And I'll just read it, quote. And it's about the pandemic. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows. And the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. For me, this poem is what is meant by attending to each and all. So what do we do with this pent-up energy to do something? We need to just stop and take a breath, to catch our breath, to sync our breathing with the earth, with all of our brothers and sisters, human and non-human. We just spent 20 minutes in silence breathing together as one organism, as one body, as one heart. Take some time to sit still. Gyome Kabose Sensei teaches, during quietness, you breathe as one with the whole world. So here we are in our unfortunate event. What can they teach us? What can we learn from it? Gratitude, patience, love, equanimity, connection, and the healing of community. As Gyome Kabose Sensei teaches, quote, many times it's through unfortunate conditions that we realize the value of friendship, kindness, love. It is ironic that it's through unfortunate events we attain a fortunate life. Life is full of such contradictions, end quote. As a poet myself, I find great teachings in the master poets. Pablo Neruda is one that is close to my heart. He has a poem titled Keeping Quiet, and it is the one that I've read at our summer retreat before, and now I think it's even more poignant. So I will close with this poem, and my aspiration for all of us is that during this once-in-a-lifetime chance, we will make Pablo Neruda's poem more than just an aspiration. The poem, Keeping Quiet. Now we will count to 12, and we will all keep still for once on the face of the earth. Let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for a second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with inactivity. Life is what it's about. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Now I'll count up to 12, and you keep quiet and I will go. I love this poem, especially these lines. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness. Of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. It is my hope and my challenge to each of us to take the teachings of Gyome Kabose Sensei, of these two poets, and let's apply them to our lives. Let's take this time and let's create something out of it. Let's not just be reactive to the change, to the fear, but let us be artists of our life at this time. That is my challenge to myself and to each of you. Namu Amida Butsu.